What's up? Oh my God, how many have I done? Woo! This is, I think, like my 7-figure review for today or 6-figure review. I'm like losing track. I just have a whole pile here. I've been wanting to do this for weeks, and to be honest with you, it never really occurred to me that I could just turn on my computer webcam and just record these directly to YouTube. I've been trying to coordinate with a friend of mine to do these, and it's just not, our schedules just do not mix when we're both able to do these reviews so that I can get some better camera work, because he is a really great camera guy. So I'm doing this sort of, archaic figure review style with the webcam and everything. So please forgive me. But welcome to Collector Cave, and thank you guys for tuning in and watching this figure review. I am doing a figure review for the Monster Venom BAF of the Marvel Spider-Man Legends series Monster Venom figure. And man, this is a piece of work. This is something. He's a really nice piece. I have my gripes. I do. I have my gripes about it now. Don't get me wrong. This is a really badass Build-A-Figure. I'm going to move out of the way a little bit just to show you guys. But, holy moly. I mean, now seriously, this is a really badass figure. He's got so many cool things. I do have one major gripe, I will say, and it's more of it's not a quality control issue. I think, to me, it really is a design decision. It's a design flaw for the most part. They could have, Hasbro could have made a better decision as far as how to put this figure together. And that's, I think, probably the biggest letdown as far as this particular figure goes. As you can see, just from me playing around with it, the articulation is excellent. It's got an ankle swivel. It's got sort of mid-calf here, just below the calf muscle. It's got a swivel. It's got a great ankle pivot for really good poses. It's got an upper thigh swivel. It's got a ball socket joint for the upper thigh here where it attaches to the pelvis area. Same thing on both legs, double jointed knees to make some really dynamic poses. Swivel at the waist, decent crunch going backwards, great crunch going forwards, really for that like intimidating roar, kind of overbearing on a big monster freaking dude kind of pose. And as you can see, single jointed elbows. I don't have a problem with this because it's so big. I mean, just to compare, he probably, if you see my Apocalypse figure review, just to get a sense of beef, where's the beef? There's the beef. Look how beefy this guy is. You can't, he's humongous. He's probably the beefiest Build-A-Figure next to Juggernaut. He's lacking in the height of Juggernaut, but as far as the figure, like the upper torso goes, it's really big. And I like the little stuff that's kind of coming off of him and everything. He's got up and down motion to the arm. Now, this is where I have my problem with it. This is my biggest problem. This is why, now, as beautiful as this figure is, I have to give it a fail on this one for me personally. And the reason being, that is a very difficult motion to navigate. Getting it to do that, this is where I mentioned the design flaw. You kind of have to take an X-Acto knife and carve away some plastic here on the upper shoulder, because what happens is the way it sits naturally inside the socket, plastic is blocking. See that? You see how it meets like that? It's preventing, and I have to push it down and move it in order for it to move up on the shoulder. That's not good. It can go up and down. It can go all around, and it's all well and good. Now, this arm does it less. But it's still, if you catch it right, see that? See that? Hear that? Not good. Not good, Hasbro. Bad design. They should have hollowed out the cavity a little bit more. As you can see, it's a really tight cavity here for where they fit that piece in. That's such a tiny little joint. If you look at this big beefy arm, and you got that little peg. That's it's all right. I think it should be a little bigger, but the socket's so narrow here that when you pop that in, you really have to be careful that you don't get that catching on another part of the torso in the socket area where the shoulder fits in. Now, you can finagle it on the other arm, but here's my problem, and this is why it's a design flaw to me. What happens is you can see how there's a little gap in that seam on the shoulder there. Now, if I move that too much, the seam starts to open up. You see, I got my fingernail all the way in there. And see how that moved? It opens. It's not sealed all the way. Now that, to me, that's no good. That's a design flaw right there. The head is really nice. It moves up and down, gets some great range of motion with that. So they do a nice job. The overall, the sculpting, the detail, the veins and everything else, it's a beautiful figure. But the fact that it does that with the arms is a big fail to me, because that's a design flaw. And the first time when I got it in there, when I put the pieces together, I was very carefully moving it around. And the first try, and I didn't realize how tight a fit it was, there's this bump of plastic at the shoulders on both sides. You see that little gap right there? That lip is what catches on the socket. If they had just given it a millimeter more on the socket, just a little tiny bit larger socket, open that up just a little bit more. If they were to have opened that socket up a little bit higher, it wouldn't be a problem. You see how it's open on the sides like that a little bit? If they had given it a little more height before closing off that seam, then I don't think it would do that. I think it would move seamlessly, it would flow nicely. You wouldn't have any sort of restriction. You shouldn't have to push the arm down and then move it in to get it to not pop the seam. And even when you do, the shoulders are broad and beefy enough, and the socket is small enough that the seam can split, and it has split a little bit, if you can see that. You shouldn't see a gap like that there. I can fit my fingernail in there. It's not attached. As you can see, it opens. And I push it closed. You shouldn't be able to do that. That's why I give this figure a fail, because of that. Now, some of you, not everyone might have that experience. I'm just relaying to you my experience with this Build-A-Figure. Otherwise, it's a beautiful figure to add to your Spider-Man collection. If you can keep it from breaking, that's great. And I still recommend you collecting the Venom figure series so that you can get your hands on it. But still, for having it for your collection, it's definitely a figure you want to add. And I would say that, most of the figures in this particular line are pretty cool. I myself only really wanted Carnage. I had the previous Venom figure from a few series back from Spider-Man Legends. I didn't need to buy the Venom with the Eddie Brock head. It's a crappy sculpt for the head. Hasbro, I mean, if you look at some other figures to compare, like look at the sculpt on the head for that. And, this, it's very different. The Eddie Brock head's garbage to me. They shame on them for releasing that. It looks like a goofy, derpy version of Eddie Brock, or almost like from the cartoon, and not really anything to do with sort of a comic book style look. And most of these figures, as you can see, like the head portraits for Bishop, look very comic book oriented, very chiseled features, very strong features. Eddie Brock should have that. He's got this bubbly kind of, I don't like it. It's really poorly done. As far as the other figures go, if you're a completionist and you like all the symbiote style characters, get them all. The Carnage figure is nice. I like the Cassidy head. Kind of think it seems to be just a reissue of the previous Carnage figure that was a few series back in the Spider-Man Legends line. Looks almost exactly the same, except I don't think it had the hand that changes and pulls off, where you have the axe type of piece that comes on. I don't think they had that. And I don't remember, to be honest. I never got that figure, so I'm really glad I was able to pick up the Carnage figure. But again, they released a series of 6 or 7 figures, and they throw in most of the figures that nobody wants and 2 or 3 figures that everybody wants. So everybody wants the Carnage figure. Everybody wanted the, it seems like everybody wants the Spider Hambone figure, whatever that thing is. It's cute. And I remember that from the comics from years ago. I think it's a cute little homage to the comic books to throw that in there. I'd say it's not the worst line, because, if you like those particular characters, you're good getting those figures. Like the Sauron Deadpool Wave Build-A-Figure, I passed on 4 out of the 6 figures in the line. For the Spider Robot Legends figure, I didn't even bother with that Legends Build-A-Figure. I have no interest in the Spider Robot. The only figure I wanted out of that set was Dr. Octopus, and he didn't come with any Build-A-Figure part anyway. So, you know, and the same thing with like with the Legends. I'm sorry, with the Lizard series, I only really wanted Mysterio. I didn't care about any of the other figures except for Mysterio, and I was able to put together the figures, you know, put together the parts for the Lizard from doing some trades and stuff. And I love the build figure as it is, but I could pass on 5 of the 6 figures in that lineup. I wasn't interested. But everybody's different, so I think, you know, you gotta get him to put him together and have him for your collection. He's just a badass build a figure. And the articulation for everything but the arms. The arms are what fails it for me, because I feel like every time I move the arms, if I try to put them in a dynamic pose to put on my shelf, the torso will break. And it shouldn't be like that. The sockets should be bigger to accommodate the beefy shoulders, because it's such a simple design fix. You know, when you're manufacturing these figures on such a large scale, when the tooling is done and they have the molds for these types of toys, when they go to cast them in plastic, there are things they can do and things they can't do. So now they can't add to the mold, the master mold for the tooling on the figure. It's too much money. There's just no way they can do that accurately and without scrapping it, making a new mold. So what they will do is they will overcompensate on the mold, and then they carve and take out a portion of that mold, and then they recast if they need to recast. But extra material is easier to take off than adding material on. You don't want to be in a position where you found you have to add material on, because that adds to the cost. It becomes way more expensive. So in this case, they could have had the master mold, and they could have carved away a little bit of that material and figured out how to eliminate some of this excess material here to make the arms move better. And my solution would be to just make, you know, enlarge the socket a little bit. Give it just needs a tiny little sliver, like that much, like 1/8 of an inch tops, like a little teeny little sliver, in order to be able to have the arms not pop the torso off, because that's really what I feel like it's going to do every time. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. You heard him. Go pick him up. He's a great addition to your collection if that's what you're looking for. You know, I mean, I still wanted him anyway, and I didn't find out what was going on here until I got all the parts to put them together. I got everything at the same time. So while that's a disappointment, everything else about this figure is really great, and you guys will enjoy it. You will add it to your collection, find it fits nicely. You can get some really great poses out of him, especially fighting Spider-Man on a shelf. It will look really good. Enjoy it. Hope to talk to you guys soon. Thank you very much for watching this edition of Collector Cave, and I hope to see a lot of comments. Please like, share the video, subscribe to my channel here. I'll be making a Facebook page soon, and I will also be featuring pre-orders from Entertainment Earth on that page. You can click on the links to different items and be able to pre-order them. I've had great experiences with Entertainment Earth personally. And their customer service is excellent. So that being said, thank you guys very much for watching this figure review from Collector Cave for the Marvel Legends Monster Venom series. Build a figure from the Venom series, and I hope you enjoy it. Take care.